legacy of World War II's greatest generation is dwindling every day. Between 1941 and 1945, 16 million Americans served in uniform. Today, only 850,000 remain, and every day, 500 more veterans pass away. That's why it's so important to remember those who went off to war. Common Ground's MacArthur now introduces us to 95-year-old veteran Basilio Alfonso. Alfonso did not have to go off to war. World War II came to him.
That was only last year when you had the new tires.
95-year-old Basilio Alfonso talks about ordinary things with his sons and grandchildren. But there was a time when his life was anything but ordinary. Born in 1920 on an island in the southern part of the Philippines,
Mindanao.
Everyone he knew worked on farms and in fields, but Basilio wanted to work in an office.
I was taking up commerce, that's like management.
He was going to college, studying to be an accountant, and needed some money to finish.
My parents does not like soldier or army. I did not let him know that I was going to enlist.
So he joined the army for a term of 1 year to serve in General Douglas MacArthur's Filipino Scouts.
I enjoyed the life in the army. I did office work.
He'd enlisted in the summer of 1941, just a few months before.
I never thought that would happen.
The Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, and World War II for the United States and the Philippines began. Basilio was based in Bataan, a peninsula surrounded on 3 sides by water, and on the 4th side by the overwhelming might of the Japanese army.
Because we did not want to surrender.
He said there was a time when he had to play dead because the Japanese soldiers were, searching for any survivors.
Because of the chaos of those early days in World War II, exact records do not exist. But Basilio Alfonso became part of between 60 and 80,000 American and Filipino soldiers taken prisoner.
They whipped me. Yeah, I was hit. I went back to the line.
That was April 9th, 1942, the beginning of what became known as the March of Death. The Bataan Death March. A 60-mile trek on foot. Each prisoner was allowed only 1 canteen of water.
I try to discipline my stomach. When I'm thirsty, I just wet my mouth and drink 1 drop. That's it.
6 days later, at the end of the march, was a prison camp. Nearly 10,000 Americans and Filipinos died or were killed on the journey.
The brutality of it, it's incomprehensible. I don't know if I would have his strength, going through all of that.
Basilio Alfonso spent the next 7 months as a prisoner of the Japanese.
All he did while in camp every day was to bury dead soldiers every day.
But as the Japanese military was becoming overextended throughout Asia and the Pacific, it was decided to release Basilio and many of the Filipino prisoners.
Because the Japanese people didn't emphasize to us that we were not enemies. See, we are the same. Look, we are the same. Our enemy is the Americans. So that's why they tried to be good to us.
For the rest of the war, Basilio became a policeman, but he also joined the guerrilla freedom fighters. General Douglas MacArthur returned to the Philippines in 1944, and Japan surrendered less than a year later. Basilio returned to the army.
I went back my old job.
And he went back to college to get his degree and get married, and then an office job, working in the Veterans Administration in the Philippines.
I think he was proud, and I can remember him saying one time that if it wasn't for me joining the U.S. Army, I don't think we would be able to come to America.
Because Basilio served under General MacArthur, he was able to emigrate to the United States and bring his family. And his sons wanted to follow in his footsteps.
When I was young, looking at him, following him, I said, I want to work in the office too, I want to be in the military at the same time.
Chito Alfonso went on to serve 20 years in the Air Force, and then 21 years in the Department of Veterans Affairs, just like his father.
Hey, I want to be like my dad.
The youngest son, Karlo Alfonso, also went into the Army, inspired by the strength of his father.
Being able to survive that and live life normally again, even though he went through that stuff, so it kind of helped me in spirit.
Basilio Alfonso, one man who served and survived, inspiring others about the importance of service. I'm Mike Carroll for Common Ground.